Hi there, everybody. It's Michelle Patterson with The Real Share, and we are talking every day about resources that are available to you so that you can have your best life on the planet that you want to create. One of the things I think we think a lot about is the fact that these resources are not available to us, and that's not the case. As I've been finding out through the last 2 decades of doing work with the California Women's Conference, we are constantly finding resources that are available to us that not only don't cost anything or just a fraction of what we think it's going to cost, but that individuals want to share their magic, share what it is that they know about. And we had an opportunity last week to talk with my friend, Dr. Richard Shuster. So hello, Dr. Richard. It's so good to see you.
Yeah, it's the best way to start my week is to come on The Real Share. So this is 2 consecutive weeks, and then this is going to be a lot of fun.
Well, it's enjoyable too, because I know in the conversations that you and I have had, just the two of us, we talk a lot about what we could do to help people just navigate through challenges that they might be facing, that we faced, that they don't necessarily need to.
I mean, between the two of us, you were told you were going to die, and I, by all rights, shouldn't have survived an accident which broke my spine. And here we are today, smiling and doing great things. So, I say this a lot when I'm on stages, is that, you don't have to almost die to truly live. And there's so many great things that are out there for people, but a lot of people just don't know they're there, as you said.
Yeah, and what's interesting too, I mean, I look at one of the prescriptions that I recently got filled, and it was my insurance company telling me that they did not fill that prescription. And so I braced myself. You can imagine I'm at the CVS counter and I'm literally doing one of these, please, do not have this be this enormous fee that's going to break the bank. And it came back and it was $23.
It's awesome.
Which is awesome. And I'm actually, thank you, Eric. This is awesome. All right. So my husband just brought in.
Oh, look at that.
What I'm showing my community members is something that I'm excited for all of you to take as well. And it's Powers 2.0. It's our newest partner into the Patterson Playground, and how you can actually create your own personalized playground that you want to operate that. And this is the Powers 2.0 Results and Success Personalized Success Guide. So you remember what you said? In fact, right before we went live, you had asked me, you're like, are you sure you want this out there? Michelle? And my response was, yes, I'm pretty open. And let's, I think too, we can help each other by sharing what we know and the information that we have and the resources that we have and truly get after it. We weren't meant to be able to do everything. However, I believe that we were meant to really participate in our genius, in our lane, and just light it up and have fun.
That really resonates with me. And one of the big lessons that I learned is to really stop trying to be everything to everyone and really just focus on those things that I know I'm good at and either offload those things that I am not so great at, or rather find other people within my community who can serve that need. And I think when we do that, what it does is it allows us all to shine as we're meant to in those areas that we're really gifted. And that's really of greater service to the world than just trying to like, look at me and I can paint and, cook pizza and, do the dishes at the same time. We can't, right? So it's really important that we know who we are. We learn what we're great at, because that's going to allow us to thrive in our lives. And then, of course, nobody's perfect, right? But it's finding those other areas where we can say, okay, like this is something that I can improve. And then once you've got the roadmap, you can do this. I liken this to being, if you were a nautical explorer back in the day, Michelle, and you were going from Spain to trying to find the New World, you wouldn't do it without a map, right? And so it's the same thing with our lives, is that if we don't have the map, if we don't have science telling us some of these things that we might not have even known about ourselves, but probably our spouses and some of our friends would say, yeah, it sounds like you. Then a lot of times that we don't really live our life to the fullest.
Exactly. All right. So let's use some of these examples. And that's what I'm so excited about is we are literally crowdsourcing miracles, meaning we're going to go ahead one life at a time. We're going to start going through this. What do you need? What is the assessment that we're coming back with? What are the resources that we can go ahead and really find and pull together so that we absolutely not only can be better together, but identify what it is that's really going to allow you to live in a space of optimal wellness. And I'll give you an example. I don't like to cook. It's not something that lifts me up. I would rather take that time and energy and build out a company or set something in motion or put an event on or create in that capacity. That's where I really love to spend my time. It's not creating a meal for, say a group of 10 people. If you were to give me the choice of creating a meal for 10 people or getting in front of 10,000 people and speaking, I would choose speaking in front of 10,000 people all day long, twice over, and then some. Okay. And so what I uncovered was, what if I found somebody that can cook meals for not only myself, but for my family that were healthy meals that kept me on the keto diet, which is extremely helpful if you have cancer because it eliminates sugar entirely from your diet. And again, it puts my family all around the kitchen table collectively together, but it's really good food. So with that, the real share was at work. And we have my nutritionist, Liliana, her daughter actually makes the most amazing, amazing food. Like she literally cooks meals that my family is fighting over who gets to eat because she's that good. And that's where I get to spend time in my space and working with individuals and stay out of the kitchen where I don't enjoy and having her have that space. And so it ends up being where it's economically feasible for us because the food is getting eaten. It's not getting wasted. Everybody's happy. And it's really, it's really a great way to show how when you stay in your lane, it works. And now she's able to make food for families that I have been recommending over to her. And so she's staying in her lane and doing something that she absolutely loves. So
I love that. I love that
great.
share. Yeah. And there's another component to that I sometimes will talk about is that we sometimes fail to really value, not only in terms of time, but in terms of money, what our real good skills are. So for somebody who, I actually used this example on a podcast not that long ago. You go to the grocery store and you're sitting and you have to buy carrots and onions. And over here on the left are the bagged carrots and onions, whole, not peeled or what have you. And on the right, pre-chopped, what have you. A lot of people, their automatic reaction is, oh, I'm not gonna spend more for something that's pre-diced and whatever. But when you actually figure out what your hourly time is worth, you're costing yourself money by buying the bagged onions and carrots. And so for you, what a gift, right? Like, you have Liliana, who now is preparing these amazing things. She gets to do her zone of genius and grow her business. And then you get to stay out of the kitchen, which you hate. You and my wife would have a lot to talk about because she hates cooking too. And you get to plan a 10,000 person conference or speech or whatnot, because that's what gets you excited when you get up in the morning. So I love the way you described all of that. It was beautifully said.
And what I'm finding too, Richard, is that all the people now that are showing up in my wellness team family and who are actually joining efforts with, it's not about, oh, let's get this messaging out there. I want to be on a podcast. It has nothing to do with that.
Right.
It has everything to do with being effective and showing up collectively together, where we are crowdsourcing miracles. I mean, we are having really cool stuff, happen because we're joining efforts and it's working. So I want to talk first about the first step in the protocol for this Patterson protocol. So my very first step, and this is why I cried when you and I ended up meeting, was and is doing these assessments and really finding out not what it is that I want for you, or that maybe a friend wants for you, or a spouse wants for you, or but really what it is that you want to achieve for your life and for the well-being, for your overall vitality, and really playing all out, during this time that you have with this human experience in this earth suit that you have.
I've never heard anyone say earth suit before. That's awesome.
Isn't that great though?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, why do you want, and I look at this too, is why do you want to be in a space where you are not operating in optimal capacity? And that includes your earth suit and how you're feeling and having the energy to do the things that you want to do. I mean, that's physical showing up.
And isn't it interesting? Like we'll put into our schedules, make sure we get our oil changed every 3,000 miles and rotate the tires. But we oftentimes don't give half of that love back to ourselves.
And it happens like that a lot. I mean, I did it for 50 years. It took getting stage 4 breast cancer to stop me and slow me down and just say, what am I doing all this for? I mean, I'm running, but am I being effective with the use of my time? Am I working on stuff that I shouldn't be working on? It's the area that I don't enjoy. I don't get any fulfillment from, and so really being just honest with myself and sitting down and not only doing this with myself, but also doing it with my husband and saying, okay, how is it that we want to show up in our marriage?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that he wants to be responsible for in his contribution to the relationship, and how does that support my contribution to the relationship? When you see this, do you do this very often with couples and putting this together.
You're talking, do we have couples take powers together?
Yeah, like take powers together, but also like really guide them on how they can support one another on their superhero powers.
So you're going to let me tease something spoilery here for your audience. So we're actually building out a couples module that will cross pollinate results, so you can see each other's yins and yangs, how they kind of work together. That's
So
been
that,
it's been
for me,
requested a lot, and so we're executing that.
excellent. Well, you remember my Love Fest, and the whole point of it was to ask each person to bring their +1 and to share their +1 with us. And it could be a spouse, it could be a friend, it could be just somebody that has shown up for you in your life and said, you know what, this is somebody that because of their insight has really helped me. And so to have a powers test that actually shows the superhero powers and how they overlap. So tell me more about that. That's huge.
Yeah, that's going to be really fun. So, as we build these things, we sit around and we say to ourselves, well, what is it that we can do to add more value to people who are taking it? Because we also have a version for student athletes. So, like, how can we help the soccer mom be a better mom and better understand her athlete? How can we help a husband and wife understand their strengths, their differences, and how then those can come together? Because it's kind of like what you talked about. So you mentioned, and we talked about this. So you hate cooking. My wife just despises cooking. And I cook because it's my zen. That is my, like, when I'm in a state of flow, I've got a knife in my hand and vegetables, like it's almost like I'm on autopilot, and that's how I unwind. And so we have found ways to do the things to offset what we don't like to do. And there are things that, that she's not particularly great at that I am. And so we have found those out, over time. But it's really cool when you have science, because a lot of times husbands and wives, and this is just true of just couples in general, we don't always like to acknowledge weaknesses or faults. And so,
Yeah, you know why? Because you'll use it against us later.
Of course, right? It's all so. But what's interesting is that, having done some couples therapy, and I used to do this a long time ago, not in many years, but when I would do the couples therapy, it was interesting because you would say something and you would say, well, John Doe, it seems to me when you speak to your wife this way, she feels X. And then, and John Doe would go bananas, and Jane Doe would say, "See, Doc, I told you so." And so people get very defensive. But when you take assessments, in a way, actually take the subjectivity out of it completely. It's like sucking all of that air out of the room, because essentially you're not saying, "Hey, this is my opinion. This is what an algorithm, this is what data based on science says about you." And then it's like, oh. And then when the science is saying, well, you do X, or this is an area of need for you to improve. And then you have the supporting evidence because the significant other, cousins and friends say, oh, yeah, that sounds like you. Well, now all of a sudden you're much more likely to believe it because you have that scientific component to it.
Yeah, well, and it makes it so that your husband or your wife, depending on which viewpoint, is not the bad guy.
Right. Right. Because, you can't get angry. I mean, you can, I suppose, but you're not going to get angry at a piece of paper, really. You're like, this is what I entered. These are the results. The results are the results.
All right. So we've got Melissa, who's going to be coming on shortly, but I did want to throw out there my test, and let's just throw it out there because it's so fascinating. I'm looking at the percentages.
Yep.
And what you had said, hey, do you want to share this or not? And full disclosure, I mean, it's fascinating. My viewpoint of my current view financially is at 26%, because that's a place that I'm not happy with right now and where I'm at. And definitely the unsafety I feel in going through a stage 4 diagnosis and all of that comes with it. And then you see to relationship managing conflict 80%, to career satisfaction and career trajectory is at 100%.
Not a surprise at all, right? I mean, like, you exude passion and you are so clear on what you want to do with the real share and made with love that, for you to have scored anything else would have been shocking to me.
I mean, that's really high. I'm looking at compassion, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Is it the intuitiveness? Is it the
Inquisitiveness? Yes, so your curiosity and fascination with novel experiences and new opportunities. That's you. That's you to a T. I mean, like, just, I can tell about you, and I didn't need your results to know this, but, like, part of what fires you up are making these new relationships, finding ways to add value, seeing how the pieces fit together. That's you. It's perfectly you.
It is. And then I liked, so the ability to understand and experience the emotion of others. So that was at 93% empathy.
Mm-hmm. Empathy. Yep. Very high on empathy.
Can I tell you,
not surprising.
One of the things that's popping up is because there's nothing harder for me to feel is that when people reach out asking for support and asking for resources and help, is to not have a place to send them.
Right.
I mean, it warms my heart that we've created this partnership with our organizations, because to me, I'm giving access to a pathway that we can get and sort through what those needs are. And I also can go ahead and refer people over. I mean, I'm having calls, Richard, of individuals saying, I was just recently diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. That popped up yesterday. Another one. I mean, on average, there's about 10 to 12 people a week, maybe more, now that I'm getting this word out about the fact that we're creating this safety net of a place that you turn to so that you can put these pieces in play. A lot more people are hearing about it, and they're coming saying, hey, I need help. Which direction do I take? Which doctor do I go to? Who do I talk to?
It's kind of like, I can't stop thinking, as you just said that, about if you build it, they will come, right? Like, it is frustrating to not have resources. It's something that I would often see when I was a psychologist, and a lot of the work I did was with historically underserved populations. And so it's very easy, to kind of wave your hand like it's like you're holding a magic wand and say, oh, well, you need, 40 sessions of therapy, and you need this and you need that. And what if they can't afford it? What if they can't afford it? And then what if those resources aren't there in their community? I used to do a lot of telemedicine in rural parts of the state, and there was just nothing. Like, nothing for 100 miles. And so, thank God that we're making these advances. I mean, COVID I think if there's one positive that came out of COVID, is that it really forced the medical community to embrace distance treatment via telemedicine and telemental health. Because prior to this, it was around. It's not like it hasn't been around, but a lot of clinicians really were reticent to jump on board with it, and would have all kinds of excuses to why and why not. But now, everybody's getting access to this, which is really great.
It is. It's exciting too, because this is information that directly helps you. It's not something that you need to wait and see what happens. I mean, this is something that you could put to work immediately.
Yes.
And I loved what we've created in this pulling together, Made with Love directory, and this global conscious calendar. I mean, for me, it goes back to what you talked about before, is just the 20 years that I've been doing with the California Women's Conference and seeking out healthy options and places for women to go to, specifically in career, physical, financial, social, and community. And I think that when we start getting real with exactly where we're at, then the sky's the limit. I mean, we can go anywhere. And so what are some things, I mean, as you look through, and I absolutely want to go through this with you, just on so many different levels, but just
Sure.
a trusted advisor of myself is, when we go through and we have you go through this process, we talk to you about getting the most out of your assessment.
Right.
What would you say to somebody? And I do want to go ahead and share, and I'm super open to being candid, is all the findings in mine, because to me, I am super inquisitive and I want to get after it. To me, if there's an ounce of any piece of it missing, I think that's where we can absolutely do that. So Richard, before we do that, in fact, I wanted to welcome Melissa on board. Hello, Melissa Hanson. How are you, love?
Very good. How are you, Michelle?
I'm doing so good. Okay, finally, we made it happen.
I know, I've been talking about this for so long.
You and I, we end up running into each other. We both share a beautiful, beautiful friend, Kathy. And so we end up at her house every so often. And every time we're together, we talk about how we absolutely have to have each other on each other's shows and podcasts. So thank you for popping on today. I really appreciate it.
It's my absolute pleasure. Your story is so motivating and so powerful. In any way that I can help share and educate your, subscribers and your followers and listeners, you're just incredible. You're an incredibly strong woman, and I really admire you.
Well, the feeling is mutual. And to me, and this is what Dr. Richard and I were talking about, he's also part of my wellness team family. So you guys can say hello to
I can look down at you at the angle. Hello there.
Hi there.
Family member to family member. And she's got a brilliant, brilliant family. I love your husband's awesome.
Yeah, he's the best.
Just such a huge advocate for you and is just always lifting you up and supporting you. So I love running with couples. And Dr. Richard, his wife too. I mean, you see these men light up and talk about their biggest business decision, life decision they've ever made. It's with their spouse and who they've chosen to do life with. And what's happened is that a lot of times I'll meet the spouse and then we end up becoming dear, dear friends. So it's nice. It's just about us. How can we collectively come together, help support one another? What we're doing through the Real Share is having everybody go through this 3-prong approach so that they get, after they go through it, they get their playbook of how they want to live on their playground. And it talks to them about the different organizations that are out there, the different just conscious groups that we've identified, individuals like yourself that are doing just tremendous, tremendous things on the planet. And so we're going to get all into that. And we've created a directory called Made with Love. And that's all the individuals that are out there that I've come into contact with through my healing journey. And what I'm doing is I'm sharing with the world who I've been interacting with, and then they're sharing who they interact with. And that's how we're solving these challenges and these any kind of problems that we come up with where we don't have all the pieces. We're going to each other to collect and pull those pieces together. So Richard was telling me earlier, I just got done, and I'll send it over to you, Melissa. It's 5 to 7 minutes because you're part of the wellness team family. So Richard said to me, he goes, anybody that's part of your team, we're going to go ahead and have to take the test. At no cost.
The caveat is I don't know if you guys have any codes left. So if you don't, I'll have my team load some up for you.
Okay, perfect. So we'll definitely send that in. So I'll go ahead and send it over to you, Melissa, because I love to see what your thoughts are. But what we were talking about is just my overall test and why we want to do these tests, especially in identifying then the resources that can be found on Made with Love directory, and you being one of those individuals. And so I'd love to talk a little bit about the benefits, Richard, that you have, when people do ultimately take the test. And then he was talking to me earlier about how he has a test that's coming out that shares
Well,
husband.
it's actually that same test, but we're building a bridge module that will let a couple take it and then cross-analyze their results to see how it impacts their relationships. But it's still going to be the same exact thing you took, but it'll have that additional piece to it.
Okay, beautiful. And I know, I mean, for me, like my husband is my rock. You know, he and I don't right now do business together, but we really should, because he's who I go to, and I'll tell him, okay, I'm building this out and I've got this going, and he's the analytic in the marriage. I mean, he's that guy who will really, you know, ask me, okay, did you think about this, and what do you think about this, and make me think about things that maybe I would not have necessarily thought of. And Melissa, you have that, I think, with your husband too.
He's a major cheerleader. He's so supportive. He's a numbers guy. So I'm like the passion and he's the numbers, and somehow we make a good team. It works out.
So do you guys work? I remember you and I talking about this because I was so fascinated, because it just seemed like you really complement each other nicely.
Yeah, we do. And you know what? There's no ego involved. He wants nothing but the best for me, and I so appreciate his support. So we're a really good team. It can work. Couples can work together.
I agree. I was engaged to somebody before I met my husband, and I ended up breaking off the engagement. And the reason why was because I didn't feel like we were on the same page together. It was almost like as if there was like this competitiveness where he wasn't the cheerleader for me. It was like when I would do something really great, he looked at it as it was a negative on him. And to the point where I was just like, okay, I don't want to do life like that. Like I want to do life with my partner who's lifting me up, and we're celebrating life together. And so 25 years later, I mean, I go back to that decision that I made and thank God every single day. Even the days that we argue, there are those days, but really just happy that I have him that, you know, to do life with. It makes a big difference.
Absolutely, no doubt.
Yeah, I love so Richard, I want you to tell us too, again, in just so many words, again, we're going through this process in connecting the superheroes together with these individuals like myself that are showing up where we are finding ourselves for the first time ever being patients and not having time to go out and come up with what I did, which was 180 years of experience with all my doctors coming together. I mean, what I've been able to put together is nothing short of a miracle. And that's not just with my doctors, but it's also with my wellness providers and you know, individuals that are coming to the table. And then I would love for Melissa to talk about her background. And I mean, I think she's one of the only women that I've met that have written, I think, more books than I have. And I'm super, super impressed because they're cookbooks. And that's like, we talked all about that I would rather speak to 10,000 people than, you know, definitely make meals and for sure do a cookbook.
You know, we've talked so much about that, but I'm a very hands-on person. So writing a cookbook, it kind of was taking away my passion and my joy. So I went back to videos, and that's my happy place. And I'm a visual learner too. So when I see people making it and I hear them talking me through it, it helps me. So hopefully that's where I bring value.
Well, actually, I love that you say that, because that helps me, because I don't want to spend time on the administrative. I don't want to spend time, but, you know, be able to throw up a camera and ask me and have to have this curiosity about the how. Absolutely. So Richard, I'll let you go first, because these are the teams that we're bringing together on the Wellness Team family, and that are all going to be utilizing this assessment as we go back and we help, you know, our communities. And it's building out. I keep referring to the flower of life, and you've got this flower of life that keeps building out. And so I'm on your team, you're on my team, and your genius is bringing this assessment in. And I think we're just going to build up something really, really spectacular. So,
There's no question.
what are the first steps? So I'm going to go ahead and what we're going to do is put together this pilot of rock stars that are coming together. We're utilizing the Real Share. We're going to go through the 5 to Thrive: career, physical, financial, social, community. Tapping definitely into Melissa and all of her wellness pieces, as well as the Sharon Lecters of the world. You've got Dr. Keisha, who's going to be reporting back, but all on this space of the 5 to Thrive. And so what would be your recommendation in getting the most out of this document? I think it's 40 pages, 36 pages.
Yeah, it's long, and we did it that way on purpose because there are going to be people who just want to pour over every detail about themselves, and there's going to be those people that are just too busy for that, and they want just a high level overview. Give me the bottom line. So the document starts out, and the first thing is just when you sit down to take this, be in a place where you're good. You're centered, you're calm, and answer the questions honestly. A lot of times, sometimes we'll answer the questions in a way that it's not like you're lying, but just be as vulnerable and open as you can, because the more open you are, then you really understand where your gifts are and where those areas you need to improve. So once you've taken it, you're going to get your results instantly after you see a little video from me kind of letting you know what's going to happen next. And then you're going to get what is known as this first page. It's your 3 strengths and your 3 obstacles. So these are going to be based algorithmically on your scoring. The 3 things where you are doing great. And it's also going to let you know the 3 things where you're having some challenges. And so then the next page is going to give you a summary of all the scores. So we have these main dimensions: communication, emotional powers, career satisfaction, wellness, financial powers, and your relationship. And then we're also going to tell you your communication style, but that's its own separate thing. And so then within each of those categories, there are subcategories. And so it's going to give you a score from 0 to up to 100, and anything in the range of 0 to 46%. It's a focus area. It doesn't mean that your life is a failure. It just means this is an area where you're struggling right now and you can improve. Anything in the range of 47 to 74% is an intermediate score, and this is overall good. It's there's room for improvement, but it's not detrimentally impacting you in any significant way. And then we have the 75% to 100%, which is the exceptional scoring range. And so this is an absolute strength and superpower for you. And so then once you get into the report itself, we have a personalized success guide where it then takes your scores in each of those particular areas and then applies how those will impact you in relationships, workplace, conflict resolution, self-care, success, parenting, and entrepreneurship. So it is a meaty document. There's no question about that. We did it that way on purpose, and we give people as much or as little as they feel like reading. But if you really use it right and you read through all of it, and we recommend everybody share this with your significant other, share this with your team, share this with the people who you spend the most amount of time with, because this allows you to improve your functioning in all these different areas of your life.
Well, what's so cool, so Rose Tafoya, who's done my programming for the last, 15 years with the California Women's Conference. So she took the test and then sent her test over to me. She wanted me to read hers and then said, send me yours, because there's stuff on here. I mean, Melissa, you should see. It's like you've got one that talks about the impact of your diet and the relationship that you have and how you are parenting in respects to your diet. In fact, here I'll read a section. It says, we want what is best for our children, but addressing and supporting healthy eating habits that can be challenging. It is better to be supportive than be critical. And then you've got this utilizing my inquisitiveness, and it talks about parenting. Your children want nothing more than to feel you are genuinely interested in what they do. having a curiosity about what your children are being open to, their thoughts and emotions, creates a safe and healthy environment for them to flourish. So I love how all of this is intertwined together. And what we've been talking about with the Real Share is working with organizations so that the Real Share acts as the glue, and we can get on the phone and a Zoom call and have it be family to family. So for example, we've got 4 families that are represented on this call right now. Kim Kovacs, Connor, who's my producer, also her son, who is coming out. So on Wednesdays, she will be joining the show and sharing with our audience specifically about cannabis and plant medicine, and how she's working with her organization called ArcView to raise money for that organization and for individuals that seek their help out in raising capital for these companies out there that are doing really miraculous things. I mean, when I look at what's been done specifically around cannabis, has just been really, really it's been going after areas that we, quite frankly, up until now, we haven't been sharing. We've been so busy dealing with our own challenges that now we're at a place where we can come to the table and say, hey, I've been working on this. This is how specifically this healing modality affected me. This is how my diet has affected me. And so what we're doing is we're getting these third-party testimonials, individuals that are not being bought. They're not being asked to make any statements because of being paid or anything. They're just simply doing this because they know that the information they're providing is so helpful, not only to myself, but to others that we're sharing this information with. And so with that, I wanted to say thank you, Dr. Richard. I'm so excited to have you on the show every week. And let's start going through and really helping our members get access not only to the resources. We have these superheroes like Melissa, but we also have these brands that are out there that are doing wonders, for our families. And we're 93% of the consumer. I represent the mama bears that are out there that are coming together and saying collectively, I don't have it figured out, but together we absolutely do. We absolutely do. And that's what's so exciting. We're sharing this information and we're doing it in a way, cost effective. And Melissa, your dog, we could totally hear. It's so cute too. We're all to the point now where like the dogs.
Should we all bring our dogs in? Should we have a dog party?
Right? I know. I think everybody is getting used to the sound of dogs on or anything of that nature, right? So I'm excited about this next chapter because I think it's us getting real with what we need. It's getting really honest and transparent and with what we need. So first I go through the whole thing.
Yep.
And then I can start matching in then with my superheroes.
Yeah. The beautiful thing about the Real Share and, Made with Love is, your algorithm is going to show you these areas where you can make improvements. And then as this network continues to build out, that's this fan. And he's wearing clothes.
Oh, let's hear. I'm putting on. Let's see. I'm going to unmute. Oh.
I love this.
I said, Davis, everybody heard you. Now you got to say hi.
Oh, and look how cute.
That's Michelle and Dr. Richard.
We've got our mask on and everything.
This is awesome.
He's leading by example.
He is leading by example. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Well, and what's so great about this, making these connections, is that you've got individuals like Melissa who have this tremendous genius in the space of wellness. So I got you, girl. So she's able to focus on her mission, to help people heal. And I'm able to focus on being a megaphone and get people over to her and direct people to her and really celebrate and pull this wellness team family together. And I think, Richard, what you do so brilliantly is have that baseline with, what gets measured gets done. Mm-hmm. And we can go ahead and just take couple small, course corrections in allowing what we want to be allowed on our playground. And by the way, I have a no asshole policy. It is the coolest place to live, where you live life, where literally I'm like, I don't allow anybody, including myself, that can be a bully at times on my playground. There's no place for it at all. And it's pretty awesome to operate in that space. And so that's what I'm super excited about. I would love, Melissa, for you to share kind of what you've been up to and how you're going to be really joining in with this real share and helping us get this messaging out there. But mm-hmm. I'm thrilled to go on this next chapter with you. And
thanks, Michelle. You know what? You really lead by example. You pull people together and you make living well and living fun simple, right? It's not that difficult. No. It's a matter of being grateful for what we do have, making better choices. And it's all about baby steps, surrounding ourselves with people who empower us, right? So what I've been up to is I'm just helping people live a healthier, happier life. It starts with their mindset. Of course, it involves movement, and then what they eat, what we fuel our tank with. So many people are struggling with countless diseases and autoimmune issues, and they're not getting answers. They're only getting thrown different pills that cover up the symptoms. And so I make eating clean. First of all, I help people understand what that even means, and then I make it very simple and really fun. So it's been an amazing journey. I've been able to help people and see them firsthand get off loads of medications, drop weight, keep it off, make a real lifestyle change. I have a beautiful Facebook support group where the energy in there is just so empowering. It's so encouraging. Whether somebody's goal is to drop over 100 pounds or if they're underweight and they're looking to strengthen their microbiome, whatever it is, it still boils down to the same thing: healthy lifestyle and our mindset. If we have a toxic mindset, it reflects in our body. It puts us in an acidic state, and that in itself can lead to disease eventually. So that's what I've been up to.
I love it. I love
helping people just make simple changes.
And you're the same way you are on camera as you are in person. I mean, that's why. And I
try to keep it real.
Yeah, you do. You absolutely keep it real, and it's always fun. I mean, it's never like when we're together, we're like two little kids. We're like, I mean, we literally get together, and it's my husband. When we left, he's just like, you guys are so like, you play, it's like playtime for you and I.
And it should be like that.
Yeah.
You should love what you do. You love what you do, and you meet the most amazing people, and you share that knowledge. How cool is that? Last time I saw you, you just got back from a little trip with Joe Dispenza. No big deal. And I loved hearing every single detail. I was a little sponge sucking it up. And I love that you now have Dr. Richard on, and he's sharing a way that we can empower ourselves and grow emotionally. I love anything self-development related. So that's really cool.
And what's so cool is that we all get to experience it collectively together. It's not like, all right, well, I'm going to experience Joe Dispenza's work or meditation, and just because I'm experiencing it, that means that, others can't. And it's actually the opposite. It's like we all get to, share in this knowledge and what we know. And I want to talk about what that means is eating clean and what you represent, because I feel like that's something that my husband and I, when we hang out with you guys, I mean, it's just this mindset of, again, clean eating, being healthy, it's a lifestyle. Truly,
It really
a
is.
lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's not an overnight process, it is baby steps. I like to help people make the shift of what I can't have to what I can have an abundance mentality.
Yes.
And also cut out the processed foods. The more living foods we eat with a higher frequency, the more alive we're going to feel with a higher frequency. It literally raises our vibes. So to eat living foods and remind people what that even looks like, because we've gotten so far away from it, from ordering out all the time, ordering packaged foods. So it's really it's a fun journey. And then to see how quickly your body rewards you, how it strengthens your immune system. You get rid of all these allergies you've been living with for years. The psoriasis clears up, the acne clears up, the digestion issues get resolved. It's really fun. So I use my Instagram platform primarily, and then I use Facebook for the private groups where I support everybody and really hold their hand through the entire process, answering their questions, letting them know that they're not alone. These are not dumb questions. It's okay to have highs and lows when you're detoxing and when you're making a shift in your diet, helping them with the psychology, because sometimes they'll get bullied from friends and family who aren't there yet, who aren't ready to make those changes. So I help them with the terminology of what they're going to say, taking the titles out of it, keto, paleo, vegan, take it out of the equation, just to eat living food and feel good.
Now, let me ask you this too. Are you, because I've seen some of your recipe books. I mean, if you have some close, I mean, I am so, just the way that they are delivered, it's so easy to do for somebody that's not a chef.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to compliment you on how just user-friendly your approach is.
Thank you. It is all about simplicity, minimal ingredients, minimal time. You're not spending hours in the kitchen, making large portions, having leftovers, sharing it with your friends and family, and the ball just keeps rolling. Then you get them healthy, and then their friends healthy, and it's a beautiful circle.
Yeah. Well, and you were so kind too, because you were familiar with the healing journey I was going on. And again, I go back to when the cameras aren't going, everything. It was just total soul sister. It was like, I got you, call this person. What do you think? I mean, it was just that type of pay it forward, loving on your friend that I want on my playground. And, and I know from what you've shared with me, I mean, it's just, it's reciprocated back and forth. And that's what's so cool, is that we all have the opportunity to live these lives where we are in abundance, and it is 100% joy. And we do have these loving relationships with, our husbands, and, Dr. Richard, with you, with your wife. I mean, it's like, I'm 25 years married, and it's like, you know what? I want to have great sex. I want to have like romance, and I do feel like I've got this because I'm not settling at all. I mean, at all. I mean, every single day is about just really being real with what we want to create together. It's exciting. I mean, I'm living out this life that I designed, that I created to what I wanted to have happen, and helping others create the life that they choose. And so I'm excited to refer people over to you as well, and just to see how big, we can really grow this and be the glue for what this looks like. Because it's pretty exciting when individuals are coming back saying, Michelle, I spoke to your doctor, I talked to this person, I'm now in remission, I'm going through this, and it's just because I had the courage to share and say, hey, this is who I talked to, this is who I called on. I went to my friend, I asked my friend Melissa what she thought, and this is the information I got. I asked my friend Dr. Richard what he thought, and this is what he told me. And that's pretty spectacular, when you can say, hey, I wouldn't be on the planet if it wasn't for this circle of individuals I brought together. So with that, we go out every day dancing. I can't wait to have you back on, Melissa. We go through, we do kitchen table talk, and we talk about this and how, again, what we eat directly affects our moods, our feelings.
Can I drop some science? Because I know you like science. So there's actually some pretty new studies that have come out, and they've repeated this. So we know that this is accurate. That they now can identify a link between an unhealthy gut biome and the presence of emotional distress like depression and anxiety. So keep your gut biome healthy.
Keep your biome. And then, Melissa, how your Facebook page? How do people reach you?
Okay, great question. So it's Melissa Hanson with an O-N. I have a white hat on in the picture, and if they friend request me, shoot me a message. Let me know. Hey, I heard about you on Michelle's program. Give me the deets. I want to feel better. I want more energy. I want to sleep better. What do I got to do? And they will be in good hands. I will take good care of your friends.
Beautiful.
And then, of course, on Instagram, Melissa_Hanson.
Perfect. Okay, beautiful. And you are going to be connected in. You're part of the Wellness Team family.
Yay! Woohoo!
Say hi to your brothers. We've got you dialed in, and I'm excited to be your megaphone.